Erik Cheong in the show. Erik, welcome.
Yeah. Hi.
How you doing? It's a reach across the table.
Okay.
How you doing, man? You good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Parcel, Logistics X. We're going to talk about your journey as a startup founder.
Okay.
And, you know, so we just had Kieran Tanner on the show. Kieran was the, or is the co-founder of Zen Rooms.
Okay, Zen Rooms. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously, this is an area where you need to apply a lot of processes. We've got drilling going on in the background as well. Somebody go out and tell those guys not to drill next to us. This is the part of being in a startup world. Sometimes things, it's all right, let's keep it running. I'll talk to Erik there. No, it's all right. If you can go and tell them to keep the noise down next door. Logistics, processes.
Probably before I start N Parcel, just want to share a bit about Zen Room.
Zen Rooms, you know these guys?
Yeah, I used to run a hostel. Together with my partners as well.
Oh, right, man.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Awesome.
So, you know, when Zen Room came aboard to the market, so I was like, nice, this idea. Yeah.
What was the hostel that you were running?
We're actually running a hostel last time. It's called G4
Here
Station.
in Singapore?
Yeah, in Singapore.
Oh.
We run 5 levels of hostel, which includes about 100 beds in Little India.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In Little India?
Yeah, Little India. And then now currently, when I sold the business, then currently now G4 Stations is actually on board onto Zen Room platform as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
So interesting when Zen Rooms came along, we were just talking about that sort of whole budget hospitality space. There isn't really a strong brand in that space.
Exactly.
You know, people think of it's budget, it's got to be cheap, therefore you don't want experience and so on. But you know, they're bringing in all these kind of like processes and so on to help sort of like shape that and get that right.
Correct.
So if we can get the headphones on, we're ready to roll.
Okay, cool.
Erik Cheong, everybody, co-founder and COO of a logistics company. So logistics. So COO must be like, you know, you are the most logistics of the logistics person out there. So we're going to talk about your background, how you got into this space. Talk about Logistics X, Park and Parcel, which is the consumer brand or the sort of business-facing brand people are aware of. We're going to talk about, you know, your fundraising, your journey as a co-founder, your team as well, the corporate culture that you have. Let's start at the beginning. Park and Parcel. As the drilling goes on, Park and Parcel, let's talk about who they are and what they do. So let's put that on the table. What exactly is Park and Parcel?
Sure. So Park and Parcel is actually a last mile logistics startup that leverage on sharing economy to turn residential and commercial space that's unused into a self-collection point.
Right.
So this is to tackle the problem of missed parcel delivery, reschedule or redelivery for online consumer. It's easy to shop online nowadays, but when it comes to parcel collection, it's always a pain.
Right.
Yep.
So what is that pain point that you're talking about?
Yeah, the pain point will be schedule a redelivery. Yeah. Or when the delivery man is at your doorstep, you are not at home. Because it's quite impossible for someone to stay at home or in the office 24 hours just to predict when the delivery man will arrive. So that's the problem. How this idea came about was very simple. It's a personal pain point. I like to shop online myself.
Yeah, I shop a lot, so I share that pain point.
Correct, but I always have the missed parcel problem. Yeah. But however, my wife, who actually shop more than me, doesn't have this issue. Yeah. So it actually made me realize to ask her what is actually her solution. Her solution is a very simple one. She uses her auntie's address as the delivery address. Right. Yeah, which give me which always she's always a housewife, stay at home, and is just staying 3 blocks away from us. Right. Okay. Yes.
So, what is the problem? Why is it a problem? Why is it an issue? Is it a logistics issue? Is it a cult? Let's sort of dig a little bit deeper. Let's go to the bottom of it.
Yeah. The problem is actually because we can't capture the exact timing when the logistic company will arrive. And on their hand, they will not actually commit, like, you know, they will just give you a window, like say 3 to 5, but they will not say exactly 3:30 to arrive. So that's the mismatch between the delivery expectation and consumer expectation as well.
Right, and how do you solve that?
Yeah, so how we do it is that we are using nearby neighbors or nearby convenience stores to pick up on behalf of consumer who are always at home, or either a consumer or actually a commercial shop, which, you know, is already open for the whole day. You know, you can just pick up on behalf of the consumer, and the consumer can do a self-collection instead.
7-Eleven, these.
Yeah, we're actually looking at retail shops in shopping mall. There are actually nearby train station as well. So that on the way home, when you're going back, you can actually pick up the parcel.
Right. Okay. So we'll dive into the business model in a minute. My background is I lived in Japan for some time, and the logistics and the delivery business there is very well established. I mean, you know, I think that Hakuhodo, that the main company is like 100 years old.
Yeah, Takubin.
Yes. Yeah. So they have a system where they can actually deliver it to 7-Eleven or any of these like the convenience stores, and it's quite well established.
Correct.
So they have that infrastructure in place, and they try and establish themselves as little community centres as well.
Yep.
What was the situation here in Singapore up until Park and Parcel?
Yeah, so there's two opportunity right here now. First one, as I mentioned, you know, the bigger boys are actually building their own network, which like using 7-Elevens for self-collection point. But the pain point here is, again, the smaller and the mid-sized logistic player cannot access to this private network. So we are actually focusing on building a public network. Whether you are the big boys, the smaller logistic company, you can tap onto our resources, a sharing economy resources. Yeah, that's one. Secondly, this adoption of self-collection is well developed in Taiwan, in Japan, but not well developed in Singapore. So that's our opportunity where...
Why is that?
Because for 7-Eleven, mainly they are actually franchise model here, but maybe in overseas, they are all under a corporate. Like for example, in Thailand, it's under Central Group, it's under CP Group. Yeah. So these are all under a company, but in current model in Singapore, it's actually more franchise model, very fragmented. Yeah, correct.
So you mentioned small logistics players. Who would they be? Okay, we're not aware of.
Small to mid-size. I would say Roadbull, Riverwood, many more as well. So
who are these guys? Explain to me, because I'm not sort of familiar with this scene.
So basically they are logistic companies, but they don't have the access to the parcel lockers or the network that you mentioned earlier. So only bigger boys have the resources and have the leverage over these small to mid-sized logistic company.
But what you're doing is you're kind of democratizing that a little bit. You're giving them a platform. So how does the sharing economy come into this? Can I be so brave and say it's the Uber of logistics? Does that work? Or
we will say we are Airbnb.
The Airbnb.
Yeah, Airbnb.
So how does it work? I'm fascinated by those sort of platforms.
So imagine you're a housewife, a student, or a retiree. You know that you're always at home. You can just sign up as a parker. We call them as a parker.
A parker is what?
Park and Parcel, so it's parker.
And what's a parker part?
Yeah, so the parker will be staying at home, collecting on behalf of the consumer. At the same time, they can earn income, $1 per parcel.
Got it. So here's the thing. So what effectively Airbnb has done is that it's the marketplace. The brilliance of the marketplace is the realization that in accommodation there's a lot of redundancy, isn't there? There's a lot of space which is not being used. People have got back bedrooms to like houses to like just a room or whatever it is. So they freed that up because there was no other way that you could rent that out because there's legal issues, there's logistical issues. So they freed all that up, and it generated income for people, right?
Correct.
And in the same way that you're talking about logistics, you're talking about creating, freeing up that redundancy, which is all they need is a place they can drop off the parcel.
Correct.
A trusted place, right? And that's all they need. You don't need to be qualified. You just need a door, right? And an internet connection.
And we actually focus on building a social credit on our platform.
Right.
So every time after a user use, they can actually give comment and feedback about the parker, whether how's the user experience and etc. Right. So this is to build trust. Yeah, I mean, when we first started, we actually have this problem of will my neighbor steal my parcel?
That's
the first thing. Right. Yeah, so we decided to learn from Airbnb as well to have a review system where you can rate your parker like 4-star, 5-star, and from there, for the next user to use, they can actually monitor their comments and actually their social credits.
Right. Yep. Okay. Let's have a look. I mean, can we get the Park and Parcel website up on the screen just so people can see it and what it looks like? Is it parkandparcel.com?
.sg, yeah.
.com.sg. All right, let's have a look so people can see. This is what. Okay, so we can just flash this up and we can see this is what greets you. So obviously you've got the parkers.
Yep. So you can click on the collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give you a quick showcase.
Right.
Yep. So these are the available parkers that's island-wide in Singapore.
Right.
Currently, we have 1,500 parkers around the island. 80% are actually residential, which includes your housewives, students, and retiree. Balance 20% are commercial shops, which includes like cafe, retail shops in shopping malls, as well as convenience stores.
Yeah. Yep. So if I was to start I'm looking at this as a consumer, if we can go to the top where you got the search bar.
Yeah.
So show nearby parkers. So let's say 41 Namley Avenue is where we are today, right?
Sure.
Okay, let's say I can't get something delivered to the office. So would I just type in my address and say, okay, like I'm expecting a really important delivery?
Yeah, you just enter the postal code because Singapore are using postal code as the unique address. Yeah.
All right, let's do that then. 26716. So whack it in there, show nearby parkers.
Yep, so there's one nearby, which is here.
What am I looking for? So the icons have popped up on...
Yeah, right, so basically the red dot shows that where you are, and then the blue one are actually the one that shows
by
that
6th Avenue Station. All right, so who do we have here? So this is a shop, right?
Yes,
this is a shop down by the station. And what does it give me? It gives me the opening times.
Yeah, it gives you the opening time and the days that they are open, the timing they are open, and actually a partial address.
And a review.
Yes, and a review.
All right, this is interesting. So let's go back to that first one. Pick up time 11 o'clock to 9 p.m. That's reasonable. So if I'm out of office hours, I could still drop in. That's pretty cool. Reef Systems, shout out to them. So what happens there? How do they make money out of it, these guys? Do they make money? I guess the parkers make money, right?
Yep.
So how does that work?
So for every successful parcel collection they done on behalf of the consumer, they earn $1 per parcel.
Right. From who?
From the consumer, because the consumer pay $1.95. Yeah. $1 to them, 95 to Pi and Parcel.
Got it.
Yep. So it's a 50-50 split.
Right, right. Okay. And then, okay, so if we can go back to that, so I want to pick an area where there's a lot of competition just to see what so where would that be? If we do something central, like Orchard area. So
maybe you can choose somewhere in the heartland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the consumer prefer to choose a heartland mall to pick up, because that's where they can travel back and on the way
central.
home. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to put in the postcode in here. Oh, you're gonna do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So was that Plaza Singapore or was that?
Okay, that's so yeah. That's much more.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot around here. So, I mean, if you just have a flick through some of your parkers here, just to get an idea of who's actually doing this. Okay, so you've got a shop here, which is, I can't work out, is that a fashion shop or something? Doctor, do you have any, these all seem to be stores, which makes sense. Do you have like sort of individuals as well?
Yeah, sure.
Acting as parkers?
Maybe I can give you a postal code, 530373. So this is actually the residential areas that's nearby. 530373.
373. All right.
Yep. So these are all residential area.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. So obviously you got some stores in here as well. Oh, are those actual individuals? Are they?
Yeah. So these are individual. Like for example, like this is actually a housewife.
All right. Can we actually have a look at her profile just so we understand? Sure. So Mary Ho, 3 reviews.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what do people actually put as reviews?
Yep. Their experience,
right? Yeah. But what are they expecting experience above just picking up the parcel?
So I think the key is being polite, or not being too in terms of customer service. They are actually quite friendly. In fact, this is actually one of our featured parker.
Right. Okay.
In fact, he actually give the consumer some drinks and etc. Sometimes. Yeah. So I think this is
cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like Airbnb.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't have to do this, but they want to, right?
Yes. Yeah. They can do it out of their own. To show the level of.
They enjoy doing it. That's the point, isn't it? Like with Airbnb, you don't have to give away like a tin of biscuits or a bottle of wine, but some people like doing that. And the thing is, I think at the end of the day, it's good service, and if they understand it's an investment in service, that people come back.
Yes,
and they're less likely to complain, they're less likely to have an issue, and give you the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So well done, Mary Ho. She gets 3 stars. Obviously a good parker, but so how do people find out about it? How do they get on the platform?
Yeah. So when we first started, we actually use a copy and paste model.
Yeah.
So imagine you are shopping online now on Lazada. Yeah. Instead of putting your address as the mailing address.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Then now you can go to Pi and Parcel. Yeah. You pay $1.95, get a full address, copy and paste over. That's the first version. Now we actually move to the second version, which is doing a full integration with e-commerce platform. So for example, now you shop on SG Shop now. You can easily choose Pi and Parcel as an option to pick up your parcel from.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yep. So that's how you pick up your parcel. Yep. And just so I understand that so we talked a little bit about the issues that you have, right? That any kind of logistics company is going to be facing, for example, packets get lost.
Yep.
How do you ensure, all of this, because that's going to, you know, affect your brand, and, you know, people are going to say, oh, you know, I use this service and something happened, and, you know, how do you sort of ensure that? What do you do to ensure, just in the same way Airbnb at the beginning, early days, had real challenges, right? But it's kind of worked it out. And, you know, it took time and it took lessons and it took a lot of money, but it was all actively out there in the public, wasn't it? It was all being played out, their challenges and their issues. What have you done, or what are you doing?
I would say investment and training to our parker. Because what we do is that we actually give them constant training. For example, when they receive the parcel, they are required to check the condition of the parcel, the external, before they accept the parcel from the delivery company. If they notice it's damaged, or, you know, the parcel's in like wet condition, or, you know, somehow they actually will take a picture on the parcel and reject the goods on the spot. Right.
Because it's in their interest to do that.
Correct. Because they will know that if they don't do that, the problem will come to them later part when the consumer can't pick up. So with the proof of the picture, you can actually show to the consumer to say, hey, you know, I didn't receive because of this purpose.
Okay, so you give them training. You give them some sort of basic understanding of the process and so on. Okay, fine. And so how do you then grow this? How do you know, if you've got, how many parkers in?
1,500.
1,500.
Yeah, so from day one till now, we received 6,000 applicants. Right. Yeah, but we only accept 1,500 because we have a very strict curation process. Besides, you know, just the training that I provide, we actually send out test parcel. Mystery parcel to them.
Oh,
yeah, to
make the mystery shopper, but in the form of a parcel.
Correct. To make sure that they complete the whole process before we successfully.
Right. What are you looking for when you send out a mystery parcel?
Yeah, we want to make sure that, you know, they complete the whole loop. They actually, as in, they hand over properly to the parcel and actually pick up the parcel from the delivery guys as well. So sometimes I'll do it personally. To see.
Oh, you're the customer.
Yes.
Picking it up.
Yeah. So sometimes me and my team will actually be on the ground to actually check randomly on the parkers to make sure that the quality of the parker is there, because it's very frustrating for online consumer, you know, to go there and they realize that their parcel is being damaged, or you know, the parcel didn't arrive. It actually causes more problems. That's the.
And it's also, especially if the parcel itself contains something quite emotional or meaningful. I mean, it's fine if it's just something ordered online, but it could be a present. It could be something valuable. And then you're dealing with all that kind of emotion that's tied up with that parcel. So you want to make sure you've got the right people dealing with it.
Exactly.
Right. And you don't know what's inside there, right? Correct. Okay, so how is that for you? You are the co-founder.
Yes, I'm one of the co-founder. So I have Brian and Gan Hong, which is my partner as well.
Okay, so there's three of you.
Three of us.
And you're the one who goes out and sometimes you test the test flight.
We randomly, you know, three of us, we take turn.
Oh, good.
So just to share a bit of how we started, we actually started from Punggol and Sengkang area when they are a younger family. We actually do door knocking. Three of us. Right. Yeah, door by door and asking.
These are the kind of startups like. They're the hustlers.
Yeah, asking the housewife, asking the retirees to join us. And, you know, the frequent asked question that I mentioned earlier, like, you know, what's inside the parcel? Will there be any liabilities and etc.? These questions are all being surfaced. I think these are all the common questions. Right. So as co-founder ourselves, we need to be on the ground to know the FAQ before, you know, we can hand over that to our team members as well. Yeah,
absolutely. It's quite tempting, isn't it? If you start a business, if you get funding and you're growing, to remove yourself from that, isn't it?
Exactly.
And one of the people, I don't know if he is somebody that you've followed or he's influenced you, but he's influenced a lot of service-based businesses like Tony Hsieh from Zappos.
Yes.
And I think he's really, you know, in many ways, even though he wasn't original, I think his attitude towards service and the fact that this isn't just about delivering parcels, effectively what Zappos was doing, shipping shoes, right? But everything that went in there. And it's all very well to talk about this in the context of strategy, but it's actually what you do. It's the empathy you have and the ability to get out there and knock the doors and talk to the housewives and deliver the parcels. How are you ensuring that you keep doing that? How do you sort of, you know, keep going back to the floor and making, because there's always that tug, isn't there, that I've got to now run the business and now I'm sort of doing this. What's it like for you on a daily basis doing that?
Yep. So we do actually a weekly meeting with the team, you know, with the customer service head, etc., to mention, is there any like a special case or any new problems that surface with the parker, etc. So when we first started, we actually give up to 5 days for consumer to pick up. But as the volume pick up, we actually hear comments and feedback from our parkers saying that there are more and more parcels stacking up at my place, etc. So we actually improvise. We reduce it to 3 days.
Yeah.
At the second day, we actually send out reminder to actually the consumer to say that, hey, tomorrow is the last day. Please come and pick up. If not, you'll be sent it back to our office and you need to come down and collect. So these are some of the little bit of improvise that we're doing by having feedback and during the team meeting. Yeah.
And how is it as well? I mean, if you consider yourself as a service business, how do you talk to your parkers and how do you talk to your customers? I suppose they're both customers, really, but you're building a two-sided model. But those people who are getting the deliveries done and those who are picking them up, what sort of communications do you have backwards and forwards?
Yeah. So for parkers, right? What we do, like I mentioned earlier, we do like random testing, even though they are on board with us. How we do it is that if let's say through the system, parker receive a continuous 2-star or 1-star rating, that will actually flag out on our system. Yeah. Where we'll actually revisit the parker and say that what's the problem? Why are you providing such low quality kind of service? That's one. And then for consumer side, we'll actually do some survey as well. Randomly choose the top active users to participate in our survey, and then in return we give them like free services.
Yeah, excellent. It's good. Okay, let's talk about your business itself. Sure. So you've talked a little bit about the model. There's $1.95. $1 goes to the parker, 95 cents to yourself. Do you have sort of any add-on services to that? Are there sort of like any upselling, cross-selling?
Yep. So what we are doing now, we actually just roll out this new model. It's called the more-to-more delivery, where we allow transfer from parker to parker.
Okay.
Yeah. So this actually is to target C2C market, where we target carousel like Shopee for individual seller and buyers. So we realize the pain point for individual seller and buyers is actually meetups. You can arrange meetup, but then the buyer don't turn up or the seller don't turn up. So many things could happen. But with this service, now no meetup is required. You just drop it at a nearby collection point near your place, and then we transfer to a nearby collection point where the buyer can pick up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
for me as well, and I don't know if this is common, but if I'm selling something or I'm buying something from somebody, sometimes I actually don't want to meet them.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's like trying to pay for something in a taxi. It's like I just want a transaction. Exactly. I don't want to have a conversation. I just want it done. Yes. There's sometimes when you actually want to go and inspect the goods.
Yep.
More valuable if you're buying a car, for example. But for the other things, I just like, okay, just do it. And it's, I don't have to worry about what's this person going to be like. Are they going to turn up as a parker myself or somebody selling something? So that sounds like something that I would use in that context.
In fact, today we just roll out a free shipping day to celebrate National Day.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're on Carousel, just feel free to engage our service. It's free and then you can try out.
Right. Yeah. So how does it work with Carousel? Are you partnered with Carousel on that?
Yeah, so we are pricing with Carousel to solve the problem of meetups. Yeah.
Because if you think about eBay as an example, that problem of payment was a big one back in the day, and obviously PayPal came along, and people were using PayPal with or without eBay's permission or knowledge. Really, in the early days, it was that hardcore group of sellers, wasn't it, that were using it because they had this problem with like checks.
Yes,
they had the problem with paying, and they had the problem with clearing and all that sort of stuff. As in the US, PayPal came along, solved that problem, and then eBay bought PayPal.
Yep.
Do we see? Is there any sort of parallels there with like the large guys, the Carousels of this world? Do you think that would sort of be a partnership that maybe sort of go into sort of more strategic, where they bring you on board as a part of the system? Yeah,
we hope that will happen, but more like now we want to solve problems of consumer.
Yeah,
I think that's the belief that the team have. Acquisition or M&A will be good, but we will not just bang on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk about the money. So you are 2 years and just over 2.5 years old. And how many people in your team at the moment?
Currently, we're running a team of 8.
8 people. So you're 3 founders
and 5 full-time employees.
5 full-timers. And you started as 3?
Yeah, started at 3.
You started at 3 people. And how did you fund it how you've been funded for the last 2.5 years?
Yep. So 3 co-founders started with 30K each contribution.
Yeah. Right.
And we started with the belief of MVP, the Lean Startup Method.
Mm-hmm.
We actually came up with videos, pasted it on social media, getting feedback, etc. Came out with a simple prototype and then allow the first adopters to try out. And we launched our Parker service at Pacific area, Punggol and Sengkang. From there, actually, we scale. And only in 2017, early 2017, we officially launched with 300 Parkers on board.
Yeah.
And then we grew to 1,005 now.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell us about the MVP. What did it look like?
It was just a simple video, a simple website,
All right. You just had the video. So it's like a Dropbox style MVP.
Yeah, if you can check our website, you can see that video. That's actually our MVP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the one. Okay.
Yeah,
so that was your MVP. You basically said, look, this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And are you interested?
Yeah, we post it on Facebook, and then we actually say, will you be using this service, and etc.
Yeah.
So this is a very simple video.
Yeah.
And then it's very straightforward, so we can just play.
Let's have a quick look at this. So
this is Sydney. She just missed her parcel.
Anyway, all the crew that's involved are all friends.
Right. You're not paying for actors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Some might say that she's an expert in online shopping.
Who produced the video?
Again?
Who produced the video?
Our team and some of our friends that help us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because it looks quite well done for an MVP.
Story altogether, with long queues, early closing times, short allocated.
So these are all the real problems that's happening every day.
Yeah.
And long delivery waiting times. Sydney just finds it all.
Was that you? Oh, it wasn't you.
No. It's a friend.
I was wondering where you were going to pop up.
With Park and Parcel. Using Park and Parcel.
Yeah, it shows like simple steps, how to use it.
When was this then? When did you do the MVP?
In 2016.
All right.
Yeah.
How far were you into the business at that stage?
We are not committed yet. That time we are just trying out and getting like brainstorming ideas and etc.
Yeah. Because it looks, what you've got there looks quite similar as a website to what it is now.
Yeah, correct.
So you've kept it quite simple.
Correct.
And even the branding as well.
When we show this video, right, the website was not even done up yet. It's just visual and correct.
So you mock website as well.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
At every Parker, right, the doorstep, there's actually a sticker that shows that they are one of the collection point. Yeah, it's a bit like how Deliveroo.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Work exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well
so besides just earning income, you get to know your neighbors as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a big part of it?
Yeah, I think that's the big part why Parker want to join us.
Yeah.
Because I think it's not just $1, but it's the fun, and there's a lot of stuff that can happen through this transaction as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Airbnb. I think in the early days of Airbnb, that was like a big driving factor, wasn't it? Like people were doing it just because they enjoyed hosting.
Yes.
I think increasingly now it's become professionalized and people realize it as a way to make money. So there's those people as well. But in the early days, it was like, okay, I just like having travelers and backpackers in my house. And that was like the big draw for people. I never would have thought it had been something that would have drawn Parkers into Park and Parcel, but I can see it, especially in a place like Singapore. There's, if you go on the subway, there's always a lot of, they have all like the Be Nice campaigns and all that, but there's a lot of advertising around Singapore, which seems to be aimed at the fact that we're trying to reconnect with community, which probably existed for your parents' generation and their parents' generation, but doesn't exist now, right? People are kind of like
you just phone on the phone, WhatsApp, exactly.
But you're sort of like re-establishing that ability to connect with the people next to you, next door. And I don't even know if people know who lives next door to them, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's a little bit scary, isn't it? So there's that sort of added benefit as well.
Exactly. I think that's the fun and the culture that we are actually building as well.
Yeah.
Like what you say, now people don't like to talk, face to face. They like to use social media or even WhatsApp. But through our platform now people get to talk, ice break, we ice break because of a transaction, and then
exactly,
correct.
It's the old cup of sugar trick, right?
Yep.
Doesn't work anymore, but now this is replacing it. So you funded it yourselves the three founders up until this point. Are you raising at the moment?
We actually just raised from traditional VC, Thrive, and also NUS Enterprise, and a group of angels. We raised over $1 million USD.
Congratulations.
Yep. So,
assuming you got it in the bank already.
Yes, already in the bank. Yeah, and spending it. Yeah.
That's
so
fundraising
is always an ongoing process for startup. So we will plan it for next year. But it's always good to start early because fundraising usually takes 3 to 8 months or even up to 12 months to build investment relationship, due diligence, and legal work. So we are happy to talk to investors now. Yeah. But now we are looking beyond just money. We're looking at strategic partnership, which can add value to the business.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask because I think you've identified correctly that fundraising never stops.
Yes.
Right? And earlier the better.
Yep.
And also for yourselves, I think we live in an ecosystem where money isn't short. So, there's a lot of money going around. So getting money is not the hard part. The hard part is getting the right money. I know people talk about dumb money and smart money and so on. But for yourself, it's those partnerships that you're interested in. What is it that you're looking for? Because those people may be listening, watching now. What kind of partnerships are you looking for?
Yep. So we are looking at for strategic partnership, from the logistics side or the e-commerce side. I mean, like what you mentioned earlier, Carousel might be a strategic partner to, actually put the logistic arm inside the platform. Or we are looking at international platform like DHL, FedEx, or even Aeromax, where they can actually leverage our services to actually replicate this model overseas. Yep.
There you go. Would it work in any market?
Yep. So we're going to launch our second market, fourth quarter this year at Thailand, Bangkok.
Interesting.
Yeah. So how do we go into that market? It's very simple. We actually look for local partners that can help. We can leverage their network, their connection. Yeah. So currently we are planning to enter a partnership with this Thai company called Box24.
Oh, I know that. Bond. I know Bond.
Yeah.
I had him on the show, like one of the first ever interviews.
Okay.
Bond Thaianarak.
Correct. So Bond focus on building parcel lockers.
Yeah,
that's island-wide in Thailand. So we both have a vision. Combining our parkers and the lockers together to form a hybrid model. So end of the day, it's the consumer choice, whether you want to pick up from a parcel locker or from our parkers. But end of our day, our vision is to create the density together.
That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, it's great to hear that you're partnering with him.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him for a while, actually, maybe even like 2 years, I think. He was like one of the first.
Yeah, he's growing bigger in Thailand now. So he's working with companies like Carry Logistics. Yeah. So these are some of the connections, that and the network that we can leverage on each other. Yeah. And how are we going to bring Bond over? It's we're going to set up like more collection point here as well with their locker system. So we're trying to
great.
Yeah, help complement each other in terms of our network.
Yeah, that's a great partnership. Yep. He was originally so if people don't know, Box24 was originally for laundry, right?
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. I know he's sort of grown out of that, but that was the early beachhead, the starting point. Put those drop-off lockers in, I think they were like office spaces or like condos.
Condos. Yep.
So people would drop off their laundry and then they would pick it up.
Yes.
A day later.
Correct.
Because usually the problem was, and I guess it's the same problem you've identified, but with a different sector, is that, if you were dropping off your laundry, they always picked up when you were in the office and they always dropped off when you were in the office. So you'd always kind of miss it. It's like, when you go in a hotel and they said, oh, you can do your laundry, but it's like they pick up at these hours and it's like 2 days later, they'll drop it off. Right? It's not good.
Yep.
And it's interesting that we see like in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia, that a lot of the really interesting business models, Erik, I think that they're the ones that deal with infrastructure. They're sort of bringing the infrastructure levels up where there isn't anything, right? Yes. It's not sort of necessarily the most exciting models on the face of it to consumers. Yes. But if you, for example, Grab really is about, bringing up the infrastructure level to a level, and a lot of redundancy in that infrastructure, a lot of people as well. Yep. Box24, Park and Parcel, and now we're starting to see, for example, payments and so on.
Yes.
This is like a really interesting growth area. And people outside of Southeast Asia and outside of Asia doesn't realize this is where I think the real money is.
Yes. Yeah, I think the problem that we are solving are really close to heart, like day-to-day problems. Yeah, so we might not be in like deep tech, like, AI, IoT, but the problem that we're actually creating a platform that really meets the demand of the consumer.
Yeah. Do you think, your approach as a co-founder has been shaped by your experience? If we go back to what we were talking about very early on about running a hostel. Yeah. What did you? And if you didn't catch that part of the interview, the story is you ran a hospital up in Little India.
Yep.
In Singapore.
Yes.
Little India is not like the most glamorous area of Singapore. It's a bit downtown. Like locals. 5-bed hostel? Was it a five
floor, and we actually host 100 beds.
Right, 100 beds. Yep. How did you get into that?
Yep. So actually, it was an opportunity. We actually took over a rundown hostel, and then we rebranded it. Did some basic furnishing, etc. Make the space much better, and then we start listing our hostel on Airbnb. When we first started, we actually list on hotel.com, Trivago, etc. We are actually always at the bottom of the chain because we are competing with like Hilton, and etc. The 5 stars. So we talked to ourselves, how can we stand out? And then that's where Airbnb came into Singapore, and then we realized that actually if we are on Airbnb, we're actually competing with a house owner. So we actually have a cutting edge. That's where we keep getting like top ranking on Airbnb, a featured hostel on Airbnb. That's where we actually increase the occupancy from all the way from 30% all the way to 80%.
Wow.
Yep.
And how did you get into that space in the first place?
Opportunity, because the person. So they
was it something you were looking for?
That's not something we're looking for. Right. But after we left the finance industry, we was looking for something to do.
Right.
And then
are these the same founders you're with now?
Yes. We have been together for the past 6 years.
Interesting. So the 3 of you.
Yeah. In the finance industry for 3 years. Left the industry.
Started the hostel
for a year, and we successfully sold it to a listed company.
Yeah.
And then we run N Parcel.
Right. So you're quite tight as a team.
Yes, you're right.
Were they friends before from?
We are actually colleagues in the banking industry, but we see the weakness and strength of each another that can complement. Yeah. And that's why we stick together. We do fundraising together. We build the business together. For example, like me in the team, I'm more like the fundraising part. For Brian, will be more operation. He is very detailed, and he's the guy that can execute. And then for Gan Hong, he will be more like the marketing guy. In charge of finance, marketing. This is the thing that we actually separate our roles. Yeah.
Is that sort of worked out like that? Did you know those were going to be your roles when you went in together? Because that sounds like quite a good setup.
Yeah. Right. So at the start, there's some friction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone wants to do different things, etc. But as time go by, the 6 years, it become very natural now. Like we don't have to tell what each other should do. It's just you just cover each other.
Yeah, that's ideal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the 3 of you, Brian,
Gan
Hong,
and myself,
right? And you've sort of carved out the roles there quite nicely.
Yes,
which is great. And it must have been a lot easier for you having exited and sold to a listed company with a hospital than to go and start another business and get back as earlier on, even though you put your own money in. But couldn't you have just gone to a VC or an angel at early stage and said, hey, look, we've done this already. It's the same team. We've got a success track record. We're from finance. We know how to do this. Why not?
For the start is because I think the key is actually building traction rather than get the funding first. With the traction, the numbers, it's easier to convince investors. With just idea, I think it's a bit tough at current market as now investors get smarter as well. They want to know the numbers, how are you growing, and what's your go-to-market strategy. So we decided to focus more on the business first rather than fundraising. When the model is right, then we can raise money from the VCs to scale.
Yeah. Was that having some sort of confidence from your previous business that you can make money out of it that allowed you to do that? Because I imagine a lot of startup founders now, especially younger ones when they're starting out, either they bootstrap it because they have to and they can't raise money, or they go out and try and raise funds straight away because that's what they were taught at business school. But you sort of said, okay, no, actually we're going to focus on the business because we know we're going to make money.
Yeah, I think that theory is more for school.
There you go. This is the real world.
Yeah, the real world is you need to show some numbers, some execution before you can actually raise money.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I mean, interesting part. I mean, you talk about that, what people learn at school. I want to talk a little bit about growing a team as well and getting the right people on board. There's 3 of you. You've got 5 more full-timers in your team, right? I imagine that culture is a big part of what you're about, right? You've got to have people who love people, right? Rather than people who are just turning up for the paycheck, right? How have you found your people up to the stage?
So our CTO, Victor, actually it's a referral. I say actually we believe in referral. You know, friend refer another friend over. Yeah. That's most important. How we build the team, it's you know, we believe in like cross role as well. We're not corporate. We're not like, you know, you come here for accounting, you just focus on accounting. We let our talents to, you know, pick up different skill along the way. If let's say you're interested in doing marketing, yes, please go and pick up like marketing skill. If you need time to learn, yes, we will give you the time. So I think as a startup, we actually have a lot of flexibility, and we don't believe that we hire you just for a specific role.
Right. So if I came from, let's say, University of Dublin, with a bachelor's in finance, like yourself, right?
Okay.
And I said, hey, look, Erik, I've heard your story, love it. I want to be part of this. You know, but I'm a finance major. Do you have any roles for me, or are you sort of more looking at me as the individual and saying, well, you know, maybe you can hustle, maybe you can get out there and knock doors?
So I mean, if let's say you are a finance guy, you know, probably can start from a BD role. You know, get to knock
business
doors.
Development.
Yes, business development, get sales, talk to people. I think that is the key. Even when we hire interns, we're looking for hustler, like who dares to, you know, call customer and say, hey, you know, have you heard about N Parcel? This is a new service. Please try it out. And we give them a certain authority by giving like promotions and etc. So you know, when the intern joined us as well, I told them, please dare to speak out. You know, share about our services. You know, treat it as like your business.
How do you know they can hustle?
So we need to try out.
Well, how do you do that?
So they join us, and then we actually do like mentorship one-on-one, like either with myself, Brian, or Ganho, so that, you know, through this mentorship, we can see whether is he a suitable candidate.
Right.
So
one of the reasons why I like you and your story, Erik, is that you are what I believe a true entrepreneur, which is a hustler. Right. I think that, you know, all businesses fail as a result of lack of sales, right? Either sales was less than the cost, or the costs were above the sales, right? That's how it is, right? And you know, I think there's this thing about hustling and selling, which I think is so important to get across to, you know, a generation of people coming through, is that how important that is as a skill in business. Because if you can sell, you can fit in anywhere, you can build a business, right?
Yes.
And I think that there's an attitude, isn't there, that maybe selling's a bit sort of, you know, like a low value task in business. And people have that, you know, I did my MBA. I'm not going to go out and talk to customers. You know, I did my MBA to have my big chair in the back of the office and the nice aircon office. I don't want to go out and sell. And, you know, in the past, I've recruited and I've run businesses before in telecoms, for example, and I've sometimes found that the best people, like, they had worked in a store or a restaurant. You know, maybe they weren't MBAs, no offense to MBAs, but what I'm trying to get across is they didn't have that training. But they spent 5 years in a retail business, like in the shop floor, talking to customers. And they enjoyed it and they loved it. And they were a store manager, or they ran in a restaurant, family restaurant. That's a great example, right? So do you see young people coming through now, and do you see, I mean, how is it here in Singapore, for example, when you talk about things like hustling and sales? Do people get it, or you sort of find that only a few people get it? What's the environment like?
I think that's a very good point that you mentioned. Now, current generation, they are more, I would say, how is it? They don't dare to do sales, because they felt that it's a low scale kind of job and etc. But I think that's very important. You need to reach out to know what's on the ground. You know, pull up your sleeve, know what's the problem, know what are people looking for. So I think this generation will need to step up a bit. You know, to actually reach out, you know, to do more sales, etc. So for example, I was just talking to my intern this morning. They're good at drafting emails, good contents, cold email, etc. But they don't dare to pick up the phone.
Right. The moment of truth.
So I told them, you know, you can generate a lot of leads. You can send 2,000 email per month or whatever it's so, but then you can't close the sales. It's nothing. So I think you need to step up. You know, encourage yourself to pick up the phone and call. Even you make mistakes is fine. That's the reason why you join us as an internship. You are here to make mistake. And from here, you can learn. So that's something that actually I encourage my interns as well.
It's good to hear it.
Correct.
And going back to Zappos and Tony Hsieh, I think I read somewhere, or maybe it was a documentary about him, that sometimes what surprises people about Tony Hsieh is that he's the CEO, or of $1 billion organization, $1 billion in cash from Amazon, right? So he is, when he comes into the office, sometimes he gets on the phone and takes calls from customers, and people look at him, if they're not used to that, they think, why is the CEO
doing this?
Yeah, he's taking a shoe order or whatever it might be, or a return, for example. Why is he doing that? A, because he loves it. Yes. I think most important. And B, because it sets the culture, isn't it? That this is how it is. This is the root of what we do as a business. It's about people, it's about service. And you're only going to get that by talking to people.
Correct. You need to set the example as well.
Yeah.
For example, like when you do door knocking at Punggol and Sengkang area,
right,
Brian and myself are being questioned by the residents. Like say, hey, why you guys are the founder and then you guys are doing door knocking? You guys should be in the office, strategizing and etc. Then I say, yeah, you're right, but then we should be on the ground first to get the FAQ, get to know you and etc. And then we know what to convey that message to our team members as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there's another book as well, written by a Chinese American. I think it might be Chinese who emigrated to America. Have you read Rejection Proof?
Yes.
Yeah. So if any of the listeners or viewers haven't read that, I thoroughly recommend it, because you're talking about people picking up the phone and making a call. Yes. Rejection Proof is amazing. I can't remember the name of the guy who wrote it, unfortunately. And somebody can maybe tweet us or whatever. But basically the whole point about is get over your rejection by practicing it. Go and do, like door knocking, he did that. So he would walk up to somebody and say, can I plant a flower in your garden?
Correct.
This guy's looking at, what? You're nuts.
Yes.
But that whole point of by constantly doing this, you get over your rejection. And by getting through that and able to ask people, it opens up huge wells of possibility.
Actually, after reading that book, I actually changed my perception as well.
No way.
So every rejection, right, doesn't hurt me, but every successful sales I make is a bonus to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's that book here. So do we have Jia Jiang? That was it, the name of the guy. Yeah. That's awesome. And I think that you could, what you're doing as well is a great lesson for those people that you're training in your business as well. A great reason why people should come and work for you. I'm a great believer that, there's a lot of pressure for people to go and work in startups, start a startup these days. It's cool. It's what people do. You'll be the next Grab, you'll be the next Lazada, whatever. But often I find it's too risky, and sometimes people don't have the skills. But what they can do is go and work for a startup, in a startup, right? It's the best way to become an entrepreneur yourself.
Exactly.
Some people are more comfortable with that. And if they want to become an entrepreneur, it's a great training tool for them long term. If people are listening to your story, Erik, what kind of people are you looking for in your business? What kind of mindset, culture, and even hard skills are you looking for?
We are actually looking for team members that don't actually select what kind of job they want to do. There's no too small tasks for them. The sales that you're talking about. So you need to keep hustling and then try out different things, and you will not be selective on the jobs that we are assigned to you. And in fact, we want team members that can take initiative as well. For example, sometimes my staff know that I'm very busy. They will actually help me with doing marketing stuff and etc.
Right.
So this is something that I felt like I'm very lucky to have the team members as well. Like for example, today I'm here, Operation Brian will be taken care of. I don't have to worry. Always on the phone and etc.
You don't have to ask.
I don't have to ask. Even now you can see my phone is ringing. But I know that someone will be there to actually take care.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's often the thing you can't train, that ability to know that somebody can step in and they don't ask you. I mean, maybe they ask if they need technical help or, maybe some advice, but they don't ask for permission to do something.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, in a corporate world, it's different again. They do, step by step, department by department, saying that, this job doesn't belong to my team. It should be done by others. So I think that's not a culture that we like. We like a culture that is there's no separation between your team or my team. Everyone is together. We need to get things fixed.
Yeah. That's the attitude. Erik Cheong, everybody, COO, co-founder of Park and Parcel Logistics X. Is Logistics X the name of the company?
No, so Logistics X is actually our new project.
Right.
Yeah, so we actually moving up the chain by having a blockchain into our technology.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about that's another podcast. Okay. But Park and Parcel is what we understand from the consumer-facing side.
Correct.
And what people will be familiar with here in Singapore. And those people that have watched the show, listened to your story, want to reach out, they could be partners, they could be like regional partners that you talked about, for example, long-term potential investors, team members, the hustlers. How do you want them to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can actually just connect me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, you know, to post about what our developments in Park and Parcel, Logistics X.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just PM me on LinkedIn. I'll be there. Yeah.
Excellent. Reach out. Ask. It's the way to do it. Erik Cheong, everybody. Erik, thank you so much for coming in today. And what we want to do, as we have done all our guests that come here, we want you to sign our studio wall.
Yep, sure.
Because that's what we asked Kieran earlier. We're going to ask you now, is that everybody that comes here, sign our studio wall, because we want our wall of fame, hall of fame, because then in years to come, people are going to look at that. No way.
Sure, I'll sign right beside Bond.
Yeah. There you go. And they said, not the Erik Cheong. Yeah. Is that the real one? So, Erik, thank you so much for coming today. Okay. I wish you all the best.
Sure.
Maybe, you know, what we should get an update on Logistics X as well. Once you're sort of more further down the road with that one. Update on Park and Parcel, Logistics X, 6 months, 12 months. Come back in and share your stories. So we'd love that. So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Okay,
fantastic.
Thank you.
Erik Cheong, everybody, as we send him off to sign our wall. There we go. Well, that has been a great